This is a Laura Nelkin Cuentas collar. I bought 2 kits and Laura sent me a third for free as a gift out of professional kindness. That was February 2025. In my defense, past Nicole had plans. But here's what turns a relaxed, I'll get to this someday, into a deadline. In November 2027, Laura and I are both teaching on a river cruise up the Danube. So Laura will be in the room with me, looking at my neck, perhaps reconsidering the wisdom of giving me anything. Thanks, Oscar. So, before I'm embarrassingly publicly accountable, let's settle the question you're already mostly possibly half asking. Knitted jewelry, tacky or terrific? Before we get into the rules of this test all the knits game, full disclosure, I am not much of a bring on the bling kind of girl. Sequins, sparkles, glitter, not for me. But I am a huge fan of beads. I made this towel with some locally made merino hand spun that has beads spun right in and ready to knit. I really loved the pebbles on the beach effect. Sadly, I don't wear it because the cream color doesn't work very well for me. Maybe it needs to go in my I'm gonna dye this someday bin. Anyway, I digress. I also knit this fully beaded scarf that, frankly, I never wear, but I do pick up and run through my hands now and then. Honestly, I don't know why I don't add beads to more of my projects, including sweaters. But after testing out these projects today, my Beadmobile motor is running, and you'll see why. There will be 4 pieces, all Laura's designs. I'm going to show you how they're made, the tools, the beads, bits of the sleight of hand, but I am not actually teaching you any of it. Laura has filmed excellent and detailed tutorials for every one of these projects, and she's better at it than I'd be on my best beading day. All the links will be below. What I'm handing out today is demo and verdicts. My feelings about these particular projects will be very clear, but when I talk about tacky knitted jewelry, you know what I mean. I'm not in the business of hurting anyone's feelings unnecessarily, so I'm not going to show you examples. But if you go ask Uncle Google to search for images of tacky knitted necklaces, you will get an eyeful of what I'm talking about. Go ahead. I'll wait here. We'll start small but mighty. This is Fetish, a bracelet using so few materials that I lost both kits in my own studio long enough to question my entire keep like with like filing system before finding them with the like things they were supposed to be with the whole time. There are no special tools required for this project. Needles, a floss threader for the beads, and a hammered metal ring that is included in the kit. If you take this on without a kit, and you likely will, I'll explain how Laura's kits work near the end of the video. A ring this size is pretty easily found at Michael's or on Amazon, or even repurposed from thrifted jewelry. And it's called Fetish, which feels a tad risque for a bracelet, but oh, got it. Thanks, Oscar. Between you and me, Laura's alter ego, Lola, can get a little cheeky now and then. The only very slightly tedious part of making this one is casting on directly onto the hammered ring, and it was only tedious until I stopped being a stubborn know-it-all and went to watch the video tutorial. After that, the whole thing was a piece of cake. The yarn is a merino tencel blend, and the colors are rich. And the beads, oh my. Photos simply can't capture the deliciousness that is going on here. Since this is our first introduction to beads today, let's just quickly talk about them, because if you've never used or purchased beads before, there are a few things you need to know. The first thing is sizing. The smaller the size number, the bigger the bead. That might have something to do with the number of beads you get per inch. I honestly don't know. I should probably research that. Or is it too late? And then there are names for the different color types of the beads. They can be opaque, matte, shiny, transparent, either color or metallic lined. So the bead itself is transparent, but the lining inside the bead is color and metallic. They can also be luster, which is like a pearly finish. That one's probably my favorite. And then there's shape. Seed beads, which are the type used in most of Laura's projects, have rounded edges and they look like seeds. Go figure. There are also Japanese cube beads, which are in one of these projects. You'll see how cool those are, and other shapes. We'll see a variety of these today, which is what makes these projects and Laura's kits so delicious. Back to the fetish. Before you do anything, all the beads for the project are threaded onto the yarn using a dental floss threader. It's super easy. The trickiest part is keeping track of how many you've put on the yarn. Too many is totally fine, but not enough is bad news, because you'd have to cut the yarn when you ran out in order to add more beads, which would be a total bummer. But here's a tip that helped me keep count. Thread 10 beads at a time onto the yarn and move them down, keeping the groups of 10 a few inches apart. Just don't pick up the yarn at either end and hold it up, or all the beads will find each other and become one again, and you will need to count all over. So whatever you do, do not lift that yarn. Felix, no. After the beads are on, you cast on one side of the ring, go watch the video, and then the fun part starts. All you're doing to add the beads is bringing the yarn forward, sliding up 1, 2, or 3, whatever the instructions say for that row, slipping a couple stitches, and moving the yarn to the back, capturing the beads on the front of the work. And then you carry on. Easy peasy. By the time I got a few inches into this project, I was already in love with what was happening. The whole thing took less than a couple hours to finish. You can wrap it artfully around your wrist, threading it through the ring in both directions, or just pop it around your neck and wear it as a necklace. It occurred to me that the ring would be a great place to store your locking stitch markers. I do love to accessorize with my knitting tools whenever I can get away with it. So there's Fetish. Super easy, fast, versatile, a perfect intro into adding beads to your knitting. I love it. Now, Luceta, which came with a lucet, this little wooden fork. Laura says this lucet is believed to go all the way back to the Vikings, who apparently used it to make cord, which is, kind of a fun and delightful thing to think about while you're making yourself a necklace. I love, love, love the square beads that came with this. Now, pro tip, watch Laura's videos on using the Lucet and adding the beads to the cord. You don't pre-thread the beads on this one, so it's a different animal. This is definitely you need to see this to get it kind of instruction. She did a great job of writing them out as clearly as possible, but I, who can build IKEA furniture with my eyes closed, almost, could not make sense of the steps as written until I watched the video. After that, the written instructions were like, yeah, of course, that's what that means. She also includes optional instructions for making this with I-cord created on knitting needles if the whole channeling crafty Vikings thing doesn't appeal to you. This was definitely the project with the highest learning curve, and in my opinion, maybe the least payoff. Laura says to practice with the Lucet before starting the project, and she means it. Because I'm me, I practiced for a few minutes, but not long enough to really understand the process of what I was doing. I also needed to practice the beads before diving right in. So I did that, of course. Not. You can see here where I put all the beads on the same side without realizing it, because I thought I knew what I was doing. Laura's right, though. Once you get going with the Lucet, it's actually pretty easy, and it does make a really cool cord. It's different from I-cord. It's a little bit denser. Adding the beads, though, is a lot more fiddly than the other projects, where the beads are threaded on the working yarn in advance and simply pulled up when needed. With this one, you actually have to thread them onto a loop on the Lucet while you're working. And honestly, I think working it with the I-cord instead would probably be much simpler and produce very close to the same result. The finished project is attractive. It's kind of boho, which isn't really my personal style, but I can imagine it as part of some very cute outfits for those who wear floral prints and gathers and ruffles and stuff like that. All of which I fully believed until I started wearing it with a few of my own outfits and discovering that it's actually kind of groovy. So, using the Lucet is interesting, except you don't actually need it. The pattern also lets you use an I-cord tool instead, which I already own and love, and will demo a bit later, or just knitting needles. So, the Viking fork is romantic, and I was curious, but it's not at all a requirement. This one was a 2021 club kit, so at the time of filming this, there are only a few left. All these patterns stick around, the kits don't, and I'll level with you, since that's the entire job here. Luceta is the casual one. Everyday, understated, the kind of piece you'd actually wear to the grocery store. Somewhat tedious to create, but still terrific. Just not the showstopper. Number 3 is another necklace, Butin, which is more of a choker. This one I didn't have a kit for. I had the pattern and a drawer full of supplies. So I built it from what I had on hand. Needles, a floss threader, beads. Proof that if the kit's sold out and you're a crafty supply collector, the pattern alone will get you there. In fact, Laura is so generous with her supplies in her kits. I was able to source the beads for this project just from leftovers. I had some leftover spin cycle dyed-in-the-wool that's been sitting around for years, and this used so little of it, barely 20 yards, that I could make 2 more with the measly 13 grams I have left. Unlike the other kits, this one takes 2 sizes of beads, 60 and 80. I used some leftover 60 from my first Cuentas collar and some 80 from the Fetish bracelet, and I was all set. This one is even more breezy to make than the Fetish bracelet. Once the beads are threaded on in order, the knitting itself is a piece of cake. It's really not much more than a strip of garter stitch with some beads slid in a very, very clever way, and a few decreases tossed in there for some sneaky shaping. Honestly, the cast on row is the only pay attention point because it involves the beads, which was a bit surprising. On my first go, it quickly became clear that I made a mistake in my cast on row, but I didn't panic because all the beads stayed put where they were originally threaded, even after frogging. And a few minutes later, I was back on track. Not having a kit for this one also means that I didn't have any fancy hardware to put it together. But what I do have are these magnetic necklace clasps. I use the yarn ends to tie it on one side and then just literally chomped into the knitting with the clasp on the other. It might not be the most elegant, but it's easy to attach and works like a hot damn. And Oscar's right. Elegant schmelegant. This one was so fast and easy and used so little yarn. My let's make everyone I know gifts meter went from 0 to 100 real fast. Will that manic gift making energy actually happen? Probably not. That brings us back to the one that started this whole guilty enterprise, Cuentas, and the gift kit. 2 of them are finally finished. This project is all I-cord all day with the beads on 3 out of the 5 loops. Where's that third one? You can make all that I-cord happen lickety-split with a handy-dandy I-cord tool, which I love, or simply on your needles like usual. The result of this is that it does not look like it came off a pair of knitting needles. This is 100% on the terrific end of the spectrum, and it's the one that Laura's going to be looking for when she sees me in 2027. I am totally obsessed with the yarn that came with these 3 kits. It's Studio Linen by Erica Knight, which is 85% recycled linen and 15% premium linen. No word of a lie, I'd knit everything in this yarn if I could. Oh, okay, fine, that's a bit of a lie, but I'm still very smitten with this yarn. I'm sure any sport or DK weight would work, but this stuff, wow. If you can get your hands on it, do it. Here's my tip for making this project. Make the 3 beaded strands first and block them. Then work the plain strands to a length that lands in between the length of each of the beaded strands. I found my tension was different with and without the beads, and the beaded strands are heavier, of course, so they hang lower. So on my first pass, where I made everything according to Laura's measurements, my plain strands ended up shorter than the others, which put them first and third in the strand order instead of second and fourth. Definitely not the end of the world, but I do tend to lean more to the let's balance things evenly side. Otherwise, this part before that part of my brain gets annoyed. Now, the reality is, and you'll have noticed when I'm wearing these necklaces, that the strands just kind of end up going everywhere anyway. They do, because of the way they sit on the clasp, get a little out of order and wonky and all over each other. So honestly, it doesn't matter. But if you want to be fuss budgety about it, do the beaded strands first and then work the plain strands to fit in between. And you'd think dealing with all these strands on the clasp would be challenging, but it really couldn't be easier. You're just tying each end of the cords into the corresponding holes on the clasp. If you don't have the kit, you can buy this kind of clasp. It's called a layering clasp or a spacer clasp, pretty much anywhere you'd source jewelry findings. The ones in this picture are from Amazon. I'll put a couple of links in the description box so you can see what it is you're looking for. Like I said, I have completed 2 of these beauties and have a 3rd one in progress. These may just become my go-to wear with everything necklaces. I am hooked. See what I did there? Okay, Nicole, how can I make all the beautiful beaded weary things too, you ask? All of these patterns and kits originated from Laura Nelkin's bi-monthly kit club, Lola's Choice, which of course is run by her alter ego, Lola. And look, I have past Nicole and fantasy Nicole. I am in no position to throw stones at anyone. Very funny, Oscar. So what happens is after her kit club mailouts, the individual kits sell down and vanish. That's just how a club works. The club itself is the source. I loved all these kits so much, I signed up. I'm getting 6 shipments over the next year. So I'm not sending you anywhere I haven't already keenly gone myself. Go check it out. There'll be a link in the description box. And if you're interested in being in the room when I'm finally held accountable, Laura and I are teaching together on that Danube cruise, November 2027. Once the registrations open, those cabins are going to fill. And I know a few of the people watching this are already waiting with bated breath, which I find both flattering and a little astonishing. I'll have the link for South Pacific Journeys, again, down in the description box. And finally, if this whole beads in your knitting concept has your beadmobile motor running and you're ready for more, Knit Stars has made Jeanette Sloan's Need to Bead class available as a single. I watched it and was mesmerized. I have a Knit Stars link again in my description box below the video. If you're interested, please use that link to go check it out, because if you decide to go for it, and you probably will, some of your class fee goes to me, which helps keep this channel productive. Before I let you go, just a bit of housekeeping. I'll keep it real quick. If you made it through the 4 beaded necklaces and a bracelet named Fetish and came out on the other side on terrific, the like button is where you register that verdict. And subscribe if you want to be around for the next knitting thing I buy with great intentions and open 16 months later. And if there's someone in your life still convinced knitted jewelry belongs at a craft fair next to the sock monkeys and the toilet paper covers, send them this video and let Cuentas do the arguing for you. I say goodbye. Oscar and Felix say goodbye. Case closed. Kits made, worn, deadline smashed. Laura, I'll see you on the boat. Bye.